Mr. Whiskers was no ordinary cat. He didn't just want to nap and eat treats all day, he craved adventure. One day he watched a documentary about bears. Bears were big and strong. They lived in the woods. Mr. Whiskers decided he wanted to be just like a bear. Mr. Whiskers knew that bears lived in the woods, and what else was in the woods? That's right, squirrels. Mr. Whiskers loved chasing squirrels. He decided he would go to the woods and catch so many squirrels. He would be the best squirrel catcher ever. Mr. Whiskers needed supplies for his big adventure. He hopped on his computer, don't ask how, and searched what do adventurers need. The first answer was backpack. Perfect! Mr. Whiskers knew where to find one. Walmart! Mr. Whiskers snuck out the cat door while his humans were sleeping. He hitched a ride on the back of a pickup truck, feeling like a true adventurer already. When he reached the Walmart, it was like a giant playground for cats. After finding the perfect sparkly pink backpack, it was on sale. Mr. Whiskers hitched another ride, this time with a nice old lady who smelled like tuna. She was going camping, which was perfect. She even gave Mr. Whiskers some tuna. He was ready for his big adventure. The lady stopped at the edge of a huge forest. This was it. Mr. Whiskers thanked the lady and bravely entered the woods. Trees towered overhead, sunlight dappling the forest floor. This was just like the bear documentary. Mr. Whiskers chased butterflies, climbed trees, and even tried to catch a fish in a stream. It didn't end well. He was having so much fun he didn't realize he was lost. Everything looked the same. Mr. Whiskers started to feel a little scared. Where was the nice lady with the tuna? Where was his comfy bed? He wanted to go home. As the sun started to set, the forest grew darker. Mr. Whiskers heard rustling noises and saw shadows moving in the trees. He felt a shiver run down his spine. Then he saw it. Scratched into the bark of a tree were the words, "Go back." Mr. Whiskers' fur stood on end. Was someone trying to warn him? He hurried in the opposite direction. Mr. Whiskers ran until he was out of breath. He stopped to catch his breath, and that's when he saw it. Standing in the middle of the path was a tall, dark figure. It had glowing eyes and made a low growling sound. Mr. Whiskers thought his heart would leap out of his chest. Was this the monster from the woods his humans always talked about? Mr. Whiskers didn't wait around to find out what the figure was. He turned and ran faster than he had ever run before. He didn't stop running until he burst out of the woods and into a clearing. He was safe. Mr. Whiskers collapsed onto the ground, panting heavily. He decided then and there that maybe being a bear wasn't all it was cracked up to be. He missed his comfy bed, and his humans, and their delicious tuna. Mr. Whiskers spent the rest of the night trying to find his way home. He was tired, hungry, and very, very lost. Just when he was about to give up hope, he saw a familiar sight, his house. He had never been so happy to see his boring old house in his whole life. He pushed open the cat door and collapsed onto his bed, falling fast asleep. The next morning, Mr. Whiskers' humans were relieved to see him. They had been worried sick. Mr. Whiskers snuggled up to them, purring contentedly. He had learned a valuable lesson. There's no place like home, and maybe, just maybe, being a house cat wasn't so bad after all. Besides, he had plenty of stories to tell his cat friends about his wild adventure in the woods.